Lesson 28, Pronouns. In the last lesson, I mentioned to you that sometimes when you're studying a language, it's good to understand basic grammatical concepts. And in the last lesson, we stopped for a moment to study subjects and verbs. So this lesson is going to be somewhat similar to the previous lesson in that we are taking a moment to study something that's not directly Spanish related, but it is something that we are going to run into in Spanish very soon, and that is the subject of pronouns. In our next few Spanish lessons, we're going to be dealing a lot with pronouns in Spanish. So before we jump into learning Spanish pronouns, let's just stop and take a moment to think about what a pronoun is and what its function is in a sentence. Here at the top of the page, you see a few examples of pronouns. Words like he, she, it, I, we, you, and they. And so the basic idea to remember here is that a pronoun is going to take the place of a noun. And we see that in our first example here, the one that says, Suzanne is wearing a blue dress. Okay, so in that sentence, the word Suzanne is the subject of the sentence. The verb is made up of two words, is and wearing. And the direct object is dress. So the subject is Suzanne, is wearing is the verb, and dress is the direct object. So in this example, we really have two sentences. The first sentence says, Suzanne is wearing a blue dress, and then the second sentence says, she bought it last week. Now the purpose of that second sentence is to tell us yet more information about the blue dress. The first sentence tells us that Suzanne is wearing a blue dress, and the second sentence tells us when she bought it. She bought it last week. Now in the second example here, the wording is a little bit different. Let's listen to this and see how it sounds. Suzanne is wearing a blue dress. Suzanne bought it last week. Now grammatically, there's nothing wrong with that example. It's perfectly correct to say Suzanne is wearing a blue dress. Suzanne bought it last week. But that's not really the way most people talk. Most people, in the second sentence, they would replace the word Suzanne with the word she. And so in that situation, you are using a pronoun, the pronoun she, to replace the word Suzanne. Again, a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. So you could make it sound smoother and better if you said, Suzanne is wearing a blue dress. She bought it last week. Now in the upcoming lessons, we're going to learn how to say the word she in Spanish, and lots of other pronouns too. We're going to learn how to say I, we, you, they, and he. But before we do that, let's take a look at some exercises and just get some practice working with pronouns. In these exercises, we want to identify the pronoun, and since we know that pronouns take the place of nouns, we want to also try to figure out what word the pronoun is actually replacing. Now we have 10 exercises here, and in all 10 exercises we have pronouns, but not every pronoun is taking the place of a noun. Sometimes we just have pronouns on their own. Because you see, in a real-life conversation, the person listening to you may already know who you mean when you use a pronoun. But in these sentences, we try to give a little bit of context so that you can figure out exactly what word the pronoun is taking the place of. Well, anyway, let's take a look at them now. In exercise 1, we have, Alfred's room is a mess because he never cleans up. In this example, the word he is a pronoun, and it's taking the place of the word Alfred. We could say, Alfred's room is a mess because Alfred never cleans up, but we don't really need to mention the word Alfred twice. We've already referred to Alfred before in the sentence as the owner of the room. So instead of using the word Alfred again, we can just use the pronoun he to replace the word Alfred, and that sounds a little bit smoother. In number 2, we have, Jeff does not like going to the locker room because it is too smelly. Of course, the word it is a pronoun, The sentence says, "It is too smelly." And so the question is, what word is the word "it" replacing? And it's replacing the word locker room. You could say, Jeff does not like going to the locker room because the locker room is too smelly. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's a little bit quicker to say, because it is too smelly. Next, in number 3, we have, she already took out the trash. Well, the pronoun here is she, but we don't really know who the word she is referring to. There are no cues in this sentence that tell us what word the word she is replacing. So here, the word she isn't really taking the place of anything. This is the type of sentence that you might hear in a real-life conversation. In number 4, the kids want to come inside because they are cold. Well, our pronoun here is they, and the word they is obviously referring back to the kids. We could say the kids want to come inside because the kids are cold, but it's a little bit smoother and quicker to use the pronoun they to take the place of the word kids. Next, in number 5, we have, the teacher told Johnny to stop, but he didn't listen. Our pronoun here is the word he, and it's taking the place of Johnny. We could say, the teacher told Johnny to stop, but Johnny didn't listen. And that would be fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we can replace the word Johnny with the pronoun he. In number 6, we are going to the beach. The pronoun here is the word we, but it's not really taking the place of anything. This is the type of sentence that you might hear in a real-life conversation. In number 7, they are not going to the party. Again, the pronoun is the word they, but it's not really taking the place of any other word in the sentence. It's just sort of there by itself. In number 8, you are sitting in the wrong chair. The word you is a pronoun. It's not really replacing anything, though. In number 9, the rabbit was scared, so it ran away. The pronoun here is the word it, and it's replacing the word rabbit. We could say, the rabbit was scared, so the rabbit ran away. But instead of repeating the word rabbit, we can use the word it to replace the word rabbit. In number 10, don't disturb the children, they are asleep. The pronoun here is the word they, and looking back we can see that it's referring to the children. We could say, don't disturb the children are asleep. But that's a little bit wordy. We don't really need to repeat the word children. We can use the pronoun they to replace the word children, and that's just a bit smoother.